Hello everybody. Today we're going to talk about that back there, a chicken run. Let's go to it and I'm going to show you some things. The first thing I really want to point out and tell you is about the space in the chicken run. You want to make sure there's plenty of space. If you look over there, my chickens have plenty of space right now. I am going to be adding more chickens to it as they get older, and I am going to expand this chicken run. But for now, let's go through a few things that your chicken run needs to have so you don't have any chickens die. Though it looks kind of funny, and I probably will do something way better later, you want to have some sort of skirting around your chicken coop. And the reason is because animals like dogs will dig and get underneath. But this is the thing you got to think about right here. Usually, a dog or some sort of digging animal will come right up against it, then dig up against it. So if you put something up against it like this, you want it to be a minimum of 2 feet in length so that they don't dig into the chicken coop. That way they can't get underneath and get your chickens from underneath. Another idea, if you don't want to do the skirting because you don't like the way it looks like, you can also put chicken wire as the floor of your chicken run in order to prevent things from digging under and up. They'll get underneath, but they won't be able to make it up. Here's how I did my other chicken coop. Right here. It's all lined up in the ground, and I have it attached to the frame of the chicken run right here on the outside. So even if they get through underneath, they won't be able to get up and kill your beautiful chickens. And obviously, one duck. The next thing is you want to make sure whatever you build, the walls of your chicken run, obviously you want it to still be see-through so that you can see your chickens and sun can get to your chickens. You want to make sure that no animal can easily tear up into it, whether it's a dog or a cat or whatever animal may be a predator for your animals, including hawks and other bigger birds that like to kill chickens. This right here is the top of my chicken run. It's all lined up with chicken wire. This is something else that my chicken run is made out of. It's made out of these dog kennels for the time being while I can do something else, but it holds out pretty strong. But what I did everywhere else is chicken wire. And yes, for those who are going to say something and leave a comment how that's not the best option, I am planning to make this chicken run even better. Like I said, I have been so busy and this is what I could come up with at the time. I either plan on building and putting like an outside layer of cattle panels, something that's a whole lot stronger, and then the chicken wire will keep animals from being able to reach in. Now, when I'm talking about animals trying to reach in, are animals like weasels, animals like raccoons, especially raccoons. Raccoons, if they can get a little crafty, if your holes are too big, they can actually put their little fingers into these holes, and they will actually grab your chicken from the neck, and they will pull on them until they eventually die from suffocation. Another thing that is totally optional and is entirely up to you is what height you want to make it. Me personally, I don't enjoy having to bend over. I like to be able to walk into something and stand up straight and not have to worry about bending over. So for me, height is a big thing. You see, for this first chicken coop, it's 6 foot tall. So I'm just under 6 feet, so I still fit under it comfortably. However, where my other chickens are at, the younger ones that are eventually I'm going to introduce into the other flock, they're sitting in a chicken coop that I personally didn't make, but I got for free from a job site. I just reinforced it and made it a little bit stronger and did my own spin to it, is like this. You see, I can't really stand up straight anywhere, but I mean, it works. And for me, this chicken run and this chicken coop is a spot where I raise little guys until they get old enough to go into the big flop. Or eventually I'm going to also make it a breeding pen for specific breeds that I want to breed. Now, bonus ideas. You don't always have to make your chicken run just a chicken run, okay? I've talked about it in some of my previous videos, but your chicken run can become so much more. I decided to make my chicken run into a composting area as well. Let me show you something real quick. Right now, these chickens are scratching and kicking through everything that I laid on there. There's banana peels, there's eggshells, there's onions, there's lemons, there's old lettuce in there. And what they're doing is they're eating it. While they eat, as we all know, chickens poop. They drop their droppings. Another thing that occurs as they do this is as they scratch at what they're working on, they're actually mixing those greens with the brown stuff, which if you do your research on composting, composting is made up of browns and greens. Browns being stuff that is dead, and greens being stuff that is freshly cut and was alive. In this instance, my browns are pine needles and my greens are my kitchen scraps. As they mix that, they're actually allowing oxygen to go into the compost, which then helps it break down. What I've done in the past is I will actually create a mound of pine needles or a mound of leaves or whatever you can find that's dead, and you start stacking your scraps on top. So this makes the chickens go up on the hill. They'll start scratching it. They spread across everything, and then eventually it all becomes flat like I just showed you. Then what you do after a few days and everything's flat again, you grab your pitchfork and you mound it up again. You do this process. You constantly add scraps to it every single time you can. And depending on how many scraps you add and how much you keep up with it, you can actually have fully composted kitchen scraps or whatever you decide to put in there in about a month and a half. It's amazing. Let me show you something else. The back side is the stuff that's already aged and there's stuff growing out of it. The front side is stuff that I had recently taken out of the chicken coop. This stuff was made in about a month and a half. So this is why I'm saying, try to find ways to make your chicken run more than just a simple spot where animals are hanging out, where your chickens are just hanging out and just throughout the day. Try to make it resourceful for yourself. Try to use every space that you can to become more self-sufficient. So go a garden, go get some animals, do something to make yourself more self-sufficient. Have a good one.